Okie dokie. Am I live? Excellent condition, says YouTube, so I suppose that means I am live. Oops, hold on, my glasses went astray. All right, glasses are in order. We're continuing along our journey here. You'll notice, might be hard to notice. Let me zoom in here. We got some settlements. Hey, Ian, we got some settlements here right on the edges. So far, we had zoomed in here and we had kind of figured these out somewhat, which we have here, hex keys. We also determined or decided that we were going to have a troll that was hanging out over here. We don't know what's over here in this 1.1 corner. And we also, though this one's of less concern at the moment, of course, I will have to figure it out eventually. And we have a settlement over here, one over here. But I thought maybe these two that are here in the hills that are kind of, they're sort of bordering this. If we look at this Gloom, calling this, I don't know, the Gloom Water Gorge, and if these hexes are sort of if we were to kind of do something like this, we might say this is kind of the, I don't know, something like that. Say, all right, maybe this is kind of the Gloom Water Gorge area. Then, these two settlements right here are kind of right next to them. I mean, figuratively speaking, right? In a broad sense. They don't have to be right on top of them. Of course, everything's abstract. So where those particular settlements are within the hex might be closer or nearer, unknown. We really don't have to figure that out. Let me just pause something. So thought we'd be there. Here's some water for the working man. Cool, clear water. All right. So I have here my habitation stuff that I've been working on for Joy of Hex Maps. I've got some dice. Got some dice around here somewhere. Yes, I do. So we can roll. So with the idea with the habitations here is they don't have to be villages. They can be. They can be kind of settlements. But these habitations also can be lairs for creatures. And we can roll some dice or decide. With the troll, we kind of decided that it was, I guess, a lair. I don't know. I guess it depends how you see trolls, really. I haven't really figured out. I haven't figured out in this context what a troll is. I'm just using it because I'm using BX monsters. Those are your standard BX monsters just to kind of fiddle-faddle with. So in that sense, we got a troll. But it doesn't have to be a troll. Or we could take a troll as a kind of our starting point, our inspiration, and then decide, well, what really is it? Maybe we'll make up our own thing that's troll-like, or we'll decide that, we want something completely different. I don't know. Haven't gotten that far yet. But we have these other ones, and it could turn out that we could roll some dice and decide that, I mean, if you look at the, I think this is a wild region, and I like wild and settled, or at least the thought behind it. The reason why I use it is basically you could change the odds. I could probably do this in different ways. I could probably do something like roll with advantage, which I might change it. Roll with advantage if you're in settled, or disadvantage if you're in wild, for certain things to kind of change the numbers up. In this case, I just have two columns. So you could see that in a wild area, I can turn this on so I can, let me see, in a wild area, you can see that the odds of a colony are about 50%. Whereas in a settled area, those odds, 50% is for a community. So, all right, so we do get some, there's some changes there. There are some changes. The odds change. I could probably do this a different way. There probably is, as I'm thinking about it now, there's probably a neater, cleaner way to do it. Maybe rolling with disadvantage or rolling for advantage. That might work. But we're just going to go with this right now because this is what I have. And it's not, it's not terrible as it is. So we've got a couple of these. I want at least one. So thinking that this might be a place where people come, or not people's right the word. if I'm assuming this is a place where adventurers are going to show up, or maybe we'll start a campaign, let's say, in this area. We probably want to have one settlement. This one actually would have been nice because it's somewhat central, but well, we already decided that was the troll. Not that we couldn't change our minds, but the location is nice. Now we could use this one up here for the troll, or sorry, for a village of some sorts. It does mean, which I don't necessarily love, is that we're already at the edge of the map. So it's kind of like if the players go, well, what's back here? Like there's nothing, go this way. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Similar problems. Either of these two have a similar problem, as there's going to be blanks on at least one side of these. And same thing with this one. And that isn't necessarily a problem, especially if you begin the game with some kind of objective, something that the party's doing. This one kind of actually, as I'm thinking about it, is a good candidate. It's not right, it's not right up against the region. It's not right up against, let me just hold on a minute. Let me just get I really love having these pens and things, but I don't love those starting thicknesses. So let me just mark this off right now. So we have this is kind of the Gloom Water Gorge area, more or less. Right. So this one here, it's close, but you've got a little bit of a buffer. It's got some buffer. It doesn't save the widths. It's got some buffer there, which I like. These obviously have no buffer, right? They're right up against it. The other thing I thought is, since there's a site that's right here, which we might say, I think it makes sense that the site and the settlement are together. They're the site was built around the settlement built the site, whatever, means that we could have a connection. Even though it's not right on top of it, we could connect the site to this. And maybe this is where something starts. This is kind of the beginning of the story. We talked about, I guess it was it last week or was it Monday? Might have been Monday. We had talked about there being some kind of, like, there was a quest line almost that you could do where you could have somebody and as they were maybe the original quest line was something like what's the word like there's in olden times there were the so and so people, their leadership, they would go on a journey and they would go here and then they would go here and maybe they go here and they would do a bunch of stuff maybe down like this and here, and in doing this ritual quest maybe they achieve something, gain something of that nature. And maybe they don't do that anymore. Maybe they can't because, kind of as we went over on the other one, this is now kind of a chaotic place. It used to be lawful, but now we've got, and what did we come up with? Like, there was a croco demon and there was some other stuff. Yeah, there's a croco demon down here, which haven't had a chance to flesh out yet, and some other things that indicate that basically that it's become corrupted. It's become corrupted, and so whatever thing they used to be able to do there, maybe they can't do. And it could be that just an entire adventure could be, can the party fix this? Can the party fix this to then do the thing? Maybe part of the fixing it is actually doing the thing, but then they have to come and settle the score with the crocodemon or do whatever. So I kind of like this. I'm thinking I sort of like that. I like this. I think I like this as the starting point. And then maybe there's a road that sort of leads, here, here. I kind of like the idea that maybe that this whole, because, you kind of get this. I mean, I guess in a sense, when you look at it, you could see how there's like almost not quite a spiral, but there's this neat, if you sort of think and you go do 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 do, you do get a little bit of a spiral like effect with your kind of going around. So I like the idea anyway that there's maybe some old road, some old path, even just tales of okay, you go and you have to hit these different monuments on the way, and you come around here, and that's where you would finish up. That appeals to me. That appeals to me. But these down here, I might just we can let the dice decide. Let the dice decide who's there, and then we can decide whether we like what the dice decide or not. So I'm going to roll some dice. So I'm just going to roll. Let's see. So there are basically three things here. We have so the kind of things we have to roll is one, just what is it? That's one die. Another die for the alignment, right? Chaos, neutral, law, and another die for the size, which tells us a couple things about it. So I'm just going to roll 3 dice for the first one, and let me make. I guess I got to make some space here. We got hex keys, so I keep it on the hex keys. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll put it on the side for right now. I know, I'll put it, I will put it in there. Let's just put it in. Why not? So we've got the first settlement we'll do is where it's 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. 6.5 and 5.6. 6.5, question mark, question mark, question mark. And then we've also got, let's make another one over. No, I didn't mean to do that. Q. This one is 5.6, question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay, we'll roll some dice. We shall roll some dice and see what we see. All right, so this is for 6.5. I got 5, 4, 3. Oh, look at that. 5, 4, 3. So what do we get? 5. It's a covert. I guess I'll put these in here so I can covert, which means it's like a hideout. That's kind of your sort of your lair in terms of, not in terms of a monster's lair, but in terms of the lair, the bandit's lair or something like that. That would be your covert. It's a place that's trying to hide. It's trying to be, and I think that kind of makes sense for this kind of location. You're not really near. You probably, obviously you can come up with reasons. Oh, it's a mining town, blah, blah, blah. But we're not, the soils, it's the hills, and I feel like the hills bordering the desert, maybe it's got some greenish, because I imagine that I always try to think a little bit of if you have kind of green next to this kind of desert area, or at least it doesn't have to be sandy desert, but just kind of deserty area, very dry, arid. I think that this line of elevation sort of prevents. So if you kind of have wind and moisture coming, they're sort of hitting these heights and not getting across. And that's why this stays dry, and this is why this stays kind of wet or wetter. So this doesn't have to be on the dry side. These could be in valleys and places which are more or less green, even though I kind of watercolored them brown. That's not the final map anyway. So anyhow, but all things considered, a covert makes sense. That's the 5. Then the 4, it's neutral. Okay. And then 3 is the size, which is minor. So it's small. So it's something hidden, neutral, and minor. All right. Well, it's let me see. I thought I had rolled up somewhere, but maybe I didn't do it here. Where did I have it? I thought I had rolled up some monsters just to have around it. I might be on my piece of paper. I don't know where my paper is, though. I don't know where my paper is. All right. So we're gonna roll up some more monsters. I know I have it somewhere. Hold on, let me see if I have it on the. I know I had a couple. I had taken a couple of pictures of the paper. Let's see if I can recall the pictures of the paper that I shared. Let's see. Where would it be? Oh, I had some stuff. Oh, wait. Oh, I do. Okay. Yeah, I did save it. All right. So I'm going to, can I zoom in on this? All right. How can I do this? Okay, there we go. That was my picture. So this one was one I just took to be kind of cutesy. You know, when he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be cutesy." Well, guess what? Now I gotta live with it. No, that's not what I wanted to do. No, 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 no. That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, I wanted to do that, but I actually need to move this down over here. Okay. So I got this list of stuff. You can see, or you might not be able to see. You can see down here. I got these lists of things. Lists of things that I had. So we had robber fries, crab spiders, fire beetles. Those are kind. So what I did was okay. So I'm trying now. I'm remembering what I was doing. Always good to remember what you're doing. If you recall in BX, right, when you see critters are listed, you don't just roll for a creature, you roll for the kind of type of creature, and then you pick and roll one of those types. So when we've been rolling on those tables, you end up rolling at least 2 dice. One for the type of creature, and then one for the creature. So these are the ones you tend to get: insects, animals, unusual dragons, and I calling it folk, which I think is kind of humans and humanoids types. And so these are the ones that I got. Now I can change these, of course, but we'll see if they suit. So for this instance, I'm thinking of okay, we got this hidden spot. It's neutral and it's small. So the cavemen, I was thinking I might change that. I don't know, because I was thinking like maybe the people, the kind of the peoples, the common folk, the folk who have what these areas have settled are kind of cavemen. That's what I get in BX spits out. I think cavemen / Neanderthals. I don't know if I'm going to go with that necessarily, but I could. We also have a cleric, which I think I had determined was an evil high cleric, though that could change also because it just says cleric, and I hadn't. I kind of had the evil high priest on the brain, but doesn't have to remain that way. Some nomad types, so some nomadic peoples. People are moving around, and then bandits and brigands. So I don't think it's going to be the bandits and brigands because it's neutral. And I think if we were going to do bandits and brigands, I think my original plan was this one up here, where the troll now is, would have been the bandits and brigands. I think it's my spot. Though I could also see the bandits and brigands being up here if we get that. I'm thinking the quote unquote cavemen, maybe these two might be the ones. I'm not sure. So what we have left is some nomadic peoples, which I think some folks who travel around. Some travelers, if you will, which also kind of makes, I think we could make work with one of these. So maybe this is some kind of, I wonder if there are some peoples who kind of do some deserty stuff, and then this is kind of one end of their. Maybe there's this is some kind of stop. I don't know if an oasis is the right word, but some kind of something for them. So I think that's what I'm gonna put for now. This is a kind of way. Maybe it's some sort of not a stronghold necessarily, but a redoubt. Right? That's the word, right? Yeah. Protected place. Yep. Oh, it's not. I don't know why I capitalized it. Yeah, so it's a protective place. So I'm just going to put that there for right now. And maybe I'll put in parentheses some. You get these really broad brush things with the kind of, the old, like just nomads. Like, okay, like I don't, like nomads can mean a bunch of different things, and I don't know. And the thing is, where you get them sometimes, not like it's just in desert. You have nomads, which to me is sometimes I equate with like, Bedouin types, or like no, this is kind of nomads. All right, so we'll have to flesh that out. There are some people who kind of migrate around. So that's fine for that one. We'll just start there. We'll start there. We'll see what does 5.6 give us. So let's go back here. I'm going to roll 3 dice again. Ooh, I got a 6. So I got a community, also neutral, and lesser. Okay. Community. Now we can have that. We can do that spreading if it makes sense to spread this. They're probably not going to spread, but so they could kind of spread down here. So maybe this could be another. This could be another kind of center. Potentially, it's a settlement, so we can if we get down to it. I'm not sure. Obviously, I just do things kind of in the order they occur to me in my brain that I kind of feel like it, and so obviously I will switch gears all the time, as you may or may not have seen. But we know it's a settlement. I think maybe I feel like these would be connected together. And the fact that that there's something kind of wandering about them, but that this is a center. Maybe it's always occupied. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at some. I mean, I could probably throw Nomad. I don't know. Maybe I'll just chuck Nomad away and put something else there. But if I wanted to look up, nomadic peoples, and I don't know what I would base them on. There's the Mongols, and there's Bedouins, and there's the Berbers. I guess, or no, I don't even know if they would. Certainly, some other peoples in the kind of North Africa region. A lot of Native American tribes were kind of nomadic. But I'm wondering, I guess I was wondering, like, if I was going to look at it and say, okay, they have a permanent settlement here, and this maybe just makes sense now that it's kind of it's a watch, like it's a thing to watch. It, like this redoubt, it watches over, maybe it watches over the approach. There's some approach maybe through here, and that redoubt is kind of is someone that sort of watches it, and could be obviously a defensive spot. Should we look up? I suppose maybe we should. Were there any? I know there was. Were there any permanent settlements of the? And that was just probably of the. Here we go. List of historical cities and towns of Mongolians. Oh, this might be nuts. I'll open them up with some links. What does Wikipedia have? The Dragon City. I don't think this place would be a capital. Maybe it could be. That one I don't think has a Wikipedia entry. What's this? Okay. Where's my glasses now? So what have we got here? We've got, okay. Ordu Balik, meaning city of the court, city of the army, also known as Mubalik and Karabalgasun, that's a cool name, was the capital of the Uyghur Khaganate. It was built on the site of the former Gokturk imperial capital, 27 kilometers, okay, blah, blah, blah. Its ruins are known as Karabalgas, which means black ruins. Ooh, that's Come on, write that word down, everybody. Carbo gas, Black Ruins. It's nice. I'm part of the Orkhon Valley. Okay, that's fine. Ordu Balik is in a grassy plain called Talal Kane Dala Steppe on the western bank. See, it's near a river. So we don't. Well, I suppose we could put in rivers. Just there's no main river here, so I'm gonna say there probably is a river. I'll probably have to amend my map. Maybe there's a. In fact, you can easily say that there's some river that creeps down like that. So you have some river that just kind of cruises on. Bloop. That probably makes a lot of sense. And then dumps into there. So, all right, that works fine. Favorable microclimate because pasturage. After defeat of the last Gokturk Kagan, or Kaghan, I don't know how you pronounce that, apologies, by the Uyghur Karluk Basmil alliance, the Uyghurs under Bayan Chur Khan established their imperial capital on the site of the old nomadic capital. Aha, Ordu. Look at that. Bam, bam, bam. All right, so that's where you get Ordu from. The capital occupied at least 32 square kilometers. The ruins of the palace or temple complex laying. All right, that's great. Urban area. I don't think it's going to be that big. So this is going to be smaller. But I like the idea that we have this kind of nomadic capital idea. Monument of the 8th Uyghur Khagan by Bao Yi in Ordu Balik, erected around 821 AD. What does that look like? Ooh, nifty. Who drew that? Very cool. A Heichel from. I'm going to save that picture. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Thank you. All right. Actually, I'm going to dump that picture in here so I don't forget about it. Let me pull that up. Oh, I hate when it does that. No, I don't want that. I want you to put it on the page. On the page, Ouija, not. There we go. Blam. Nifty. That is cool. I like that cross hatching there. Okay. Ordu Balik. Architecture of Mongolia is largely based on traditional dwellings such as the yurt. Oh, I got a yurt-shaped temple. That's cool. What is this? Oh, he's got some nice stuff. What is a stupa? Oh, I see. A mound-like or hemispherical structure containing relics. Ooh. Okay. All right, we're cooking with gas now. We are cooking with gas now. Elevation, plan, interior section. What does that mean? Where does it go? It just goes. I guess it's a cross section. Yes. Hi, Betty. Stupa, mound-like. Okay. Circumambulation. Oh, I see. That's an important ritual devotional practice. All right. It kind of reminds me. This one reminds me. I've been to. What's the place in Ireland? Oh, I'm forgetting the name of it, but also has a rounded shape. That's cool. This one's cool. Earliest known stupa. Oh, so what is this? Okay. I'm gonna. Yeah. Can I put that in here too? All right, we're getting. This is getting good. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, these are some great pictures. I'm just going to keep pasting them in here. I think, see, because what I'm thinking is, this is how this stuff works. What I'm thinking is that we're going to have this structure like this is going to be the site that is here. So there's a site here, and that's what that's going to be. Some kind of shape like this, which I'm liking. I'm just want to see if there's any more information. It'd be nice to know. I can't tell if I know there's this picture here. I just can't really tell what that interior section, what is that supposed to mean? Is it just you just come in and there's this? This is, I guess, because this looks like it's from the top down, right? This is the top down. And so this way you just come in and there's a square area here. Is that because this seems to me kind of a hole maybe in the middle? And you might just pop in, it's just a round room. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out like what is this? Is that the doorway just going in? And then what's the circle? I don't know why. I'm just having trouble visualizing what that's supposed to be. Oh, cool. These are really cool. Got that one, got that one. Oh man. Ooh, look at that. All right. Great. So, get rid of those. So now archaeologists debunk myth. Mongols had cities, but not for themselves. Oh, yeah. The Mongols really were devotedly nomadic. Team mapping Mongol Empire capital of Karakorum discovers that it was implanted, not a natural urban development. Almost 800 years ago, warriors on horseback galloped out of northern Mongolia, conquering much of Asia. The only reason they didn't sweep into Western Europe and crush it like a bug was apparently a protracted spell of cold. Study of a long gone culture is usually based on historical and physical records. The Mongols did keep records, and the neighbors wrote quite a lot about them. But the great and mighty Mongol Empire is supposed to be, quote unquote, invisible in archaeology because they stayed on their steeds and scorned permanence. In fact, the Mongols did have cities, sort of. The Central Asian steppe has not a few Mongol era monuments, forts, and more. And on the northern edge of the Gobi Desert, not far from Ulaanbaatar, in the heart of today's Mongolia, Genghis Khan, aka Chinggis Khan, chose a site for his capital, Karakorum. But Karakorum didn't arise through the natural mundane process of a settlement evolving into a village, evolving into a town. It arose from nothing, an artificial implant. Karakorum was also much bigger than had been thought until now, spilling beyond the city's defensive walls to the foothills, says a new paper published in Antiquity this week. But what exactly is an implanted city? Okay, given the constantly, I guess I missed a header. When the emperor suddenly needs a city, given the consistently nomadic lifestyle of the Mongol fighters, it is perhaps ironic that the word horde stems from the Turkic for palace, a sedentary place. Oh, I didn't know that. The great army, known to posterity as the Golden Horde for the color of their yurts, took shape after the unification of Mongol and Turkic tribes on the Mongolian plateau. It has even become a cliche that, being nomads, the Mongols led a minimalist lifestyle, not hauling around more than they need. They didn't build cities, they destroyed them, goes the narrative. In Israeli circles, the paucity of archaeological remains from the vast Mongol Empire has been suggested as a model for why we don't find clear remains of the great united monarchy from King David's time, i.e., maybe it isn't that David and the monarchy didn't exist, but that the ancient Jews were still largely a roaming folk. It is apparently true that the Mongols didn't build cities, at least not for themselves, according to the analysis of Professor Jan Behmen of the Rhenish Friedrich Wilhelm University of Bonn and colleagues in Antiquity. Indeed, Behmen, I'm not sure, confirms they led a nomadic life, but the emperor needed a place to centralize his rule over their growing empire. Thus, in the year 1220, the founder of the great empire, Genghis Khan, or Chinggis Khan, I don't know why they mention he's called Chinggis, which I think is the more correct name, but then they go back to calling him Genghis. I'm not sure. Chose a nice site for the capital where the Orkhon River Valley transitions into pasture, and there on the bucolic plain, the city of Karakorum was built by his son and successor, Ogadai, though construction would be completed only by Möngke Khan, the authors explain. So here we can see on this map kind of where they fit. So you got these kind of foothills onto a plain. Karakorum was not the only Mongol city, but Beman explains, it was the first and most important one, and it was built by the Mongols' captives using captured, quote-unquote, materials. Everything the warriors could extract from the territories they did, from talent to goods, and brought back to Karakorum. All the booty and embassies, too, had to go there, he says. Just take a drink of water here. This is not pure conjecture or even deduction. William of Rubruck, a Franciscan friar and French envoy, visited in the year 1254 and described it as a walled city with 4 gates that was peopled by foreigners, Chinese artisans, Muslim merchants, and captives from all over the empire. The archaeologists' finds support that description, adding that occupation extended far beyond the walls. Ooh, and here's a golden bracelet. Quote unquote, implanted urbanization is a term the archaeologists coined for this strange phenomenon of a city in which the inhabitants were all basically prisoners who were forced to build a city using materials from elsewhere, except for the mud used to build the simple folks' homes, and that was fired into bricks to build the palace. The mud was local. Oh boy, here's a city. Build it and you can't leave. Oh boy, I just want to read that one again. A phenomenon of a city in which the inhabitants were all basically prisoners, who were forced to build the city using materials from elsewhere except for the mud. Nice. Okay, the Mongols collected the best people from Central Asia and moved them to the core Mongol area. Everyone from artisans to astronomers, mainly from former Soviet republics and Afghanistan. Twice a year, the team writes, the Khan would come to the city and stay in his palace, which was only built in 1235, about 15 years after the city first began to rise on the Mongolian plain. He wouldn't stay for long, but Genghis's heir, Ogadai, encouraged the Mongol elites to build brick houses near the palace. The city became not only the focus of power and administration, but of long-distance trade, which rather changes the image of the archaeologically invisible Mongol Empire. When nomads plan a city. Mapping the implanted city using a squid. What the hell? That's an acronym, stands for Superconducting Quantum Interference Device. Oh, I like the idea that they're tossing actual squids out there. Go, squid, go! An aerial imaging, rather than shovels and sweat, led the archaeologists to realize that Karakorum was much bigger than had been thought. Kind of has a Star Destroyer or Super Star Destroyer kind of look there too, doesn't it? They also discovered that about 40% of the land enclosed by defensive walls remained empty. The Mongols really were nomadic and stayed nomadic. They were not city developers, Beman said. That was one of the things captives were for. Asked whether the implanted city arising from nothing was a copy of a town somewhere else, he suggests that it may have started that way. The first generation of nomadic Mongol leaders wouldn't have known where to begin, so that made sense. Then the next generation of nomad rulers likely tapped their captive experts and took their advice, to a degree. Karakorum has whiffs of influences from Chinese and Central Asian urban construction, but ultimately the city is Mongol in character. For example, the palace is in the city's southmost section. The emperor had a good view of the south, Beman observes. In China, the palace would have been in the city's center or north, which among the Mongols is where they place their dead. As for that vast empty tract within the walls, it remains a mystery. The city in general was low density, and possibly that empty space was reserved for transient yurts. In any case, it was clearly not permanently occupied. In contrast to the notion that campsites of nomadic societies leave no traces, Beman explains, they do. Any pedestrian survey would find some artifacts. Also, nomads tend to return to the same campsites and over time, and the earth becomes compacted. Not so here. Maybe when the Khan came to the city for 10 days or 2 weeks, his personal retinue and bodyguards, about 1,000 people, would set up their yurts in that area, he surmises. And in such brief interludes, they would not have left any traces. So there we have it. Far from having no cities, the Mongol emperors had several on the steppe, including this capital, not quite a prefab city, but almost, built by captive craftsmen and labor. Its layout of roads and structures attest to planning, but Mongol style, not Chinese. And the city ended as cities end. It isn't that it was destroyed by some peeved or vengeful enemy. After the empire split into 4 khanates in 1260, Karakorum would continue to serve as the capital of one of the 4, the Yuan Empire, which soon had a new capital city of its own, Dadu, which would become Beijing. Karakorum would soldier on as the major city of the Gobi Desert and even gain some new public buildings. Then in the 14th century, the Yuan Empire imploded. In 1586, a Buddhist monastery was built on the land of the ex-palace, and the rest of the city would be left to the encroachment of the desert and its creatures, from the viper to the ibex and the wild camel, and would be lost. It was never forgotten, per se, being mentioned in historic records around the region, the authors add, and it was found again by one Nikolai Yadrintsev in 1889. A subsequent archaeological expedition drew the first map of the city in almost 800 years. But until the coming of the squid, it's like we're in that Watchmen comic, like squids raining from the sky, mapping out ancient cities. Until the coming of the squid, none saw the true vast dimensions of this Mongol city, implanted in the middle of nowhere, with its great span of nothing inside for the greater convenience of the great Mongol empires. A lot of greater. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so that gives us some, inspiration. Methinks. It's obviously, I do not really think that this is going to be, I didn't roll greater, which would have been more a capital. But and of course, it could be just a smaller society, but maybe there is something we can kind of play on this nomadic, that they have some kind of capital here. Maybe they roam off the desert and then come in, and then I guess maybe I need to roll this one up too. I feel like this has got to be something. So here's what I'm sort of thinking. Let me, this is my thought process. Is that there's, maybe I'll use, let me use a different color. Let's use this. Is that we're going to have maybe some kind of road, kind of does one of these. And then probably maybe does something like this and sort of follows. Right, or maybe that's too close. Maybe we might say, because this, maybe there's an old road. Well, I think what would definitely make sense, at some point there was an old, back when this was good, lawful, not chaotic, there might have been an old road that went around, yeah. Though it's also a gorge, so maybe you wouldn't put your road right near the gorge. There might have been something like that, but I'm guessing today, and maybe even back then, it may make more sense that there's something like this, swings like that. So then you might think, by virtue of this, this might be somewhat of a center, right? It's got at a crossroads. You got, I don't know how, you got good stuff here. So presumably there might be villages and things. So when I get through that, when I start looking at how these things grow, this settlement, unless it's just micro, is gonna probably fill up a lot of this. Probably, well, maybe not that one. And then we don't know what this landmark is, so or this site, we haven't really figured that out. So it might be that those sites kind of cut off the growth through weirdness, but it's probably going to do something like that. Close to that. Let me just do, for giggles, I'm going to roll the dice and see what I get for that, though I probably will override it. Whoops. I know what I need. I know what I need. And I need somewhere for the players to start. So this is, let's see, a settlement. Nomads? Question mark? Okay. So what would be that other one? Oh, and what site? I did do the site there. 6.2. What did I do for 6.2? Wisdom, industry, admiration. Oh, nice. It's artificial and small. Okay, wisdom, industry, admiration. All right, we'll have to figure that out. But let's roll this settlement. This is 6.2. All right, let's roll you in here. 6.2. and site. We don't know what the site is yet. So I'll just put question mark, question mark, question mark. All right, here we go. You know what? I don't want it. I'm not going to roll it for the community one because I want it to be a community. So it's really a matter of, I guess it's really only the one. And it's not, it's got to be lawful, I think. And I got 5. So what is it? Lesser. Okay. So it's a community. It is lawful. It is lesser. Okay. Now I think I'm going to make them separate. So these are not going to be nomads or whomever we decide the nomads are going to be. These are going to be a different people. But I think that this is going to be somewhere where these guys come and they trade. Maybe they. What are some good. What did nomads. I don't know. What did. Trade with others. Kind of curious. Do we have anything? Britannica. Okay. Africa industry extra. All right, let's go. Let's see what we got. During the no metallic minerals. What did they do? Traditionally, travel in the Sahara was by camel caravan. It was slow, arduous, and dangerous. Okay, but what did they bring? Did they just take things across, or was there anything that they traded? Trade across the Sahara. The sands of the Sahara Desert could have been a major obstacle to trade between Africa, Europe, and the East, but it was more like a sandy sea, ports of trade on either side. In the south were cities such as Timbuktu and Gao. In the north, cities such as, what is that? Gadames. From there, goods travel to Europe. Okay, that's great. Muslim traders from North Africa ship goods across the Sahara using large. Okay, that's great. What did they trade? I really wanted to see if there's anything in the desert itself that was traded, but it looks like you just trade stuff through. So I'll have to think about what might get traded through. It's probably a good question. All right, here's another article. Spices and silks. I mean, if we're going, yeah, I was just trying. I guess, yes, Terrence, we could obviously, I mean, when it comes to trading through camel butter, yum. It could be anything, right? We're just looking at, well, there's something on the other side of it. There's people on the other side of the desert and they're trading. We can come up with anything. Yes, it could be, if we wanted to do literally pull something out of our own history books, we could go spices, silks. What I was wondering is if there's anything that was in the desert to trade. And obviously not the deep sandy desert, but in the rocks or something. I don't know. So I was wondering if there was. Let's see. So yeah, I guess it could be anything. I was curious if there was just any kind of sites. You know, something, some kind of site that you might go to. But there isn't one. So it is. So I guess maybe the big thing to think of it is like a rock sea, a rocky or sandy sea. I guess this makes the most sense, right? So, but I guess without the fish, you're not fishing on this sea, but you're just moving across it. So that kind of opens up. It could be kind of anything. But I guess what makes sense there is this is a caravan stop. This is where caravans and this kind of desert things. This is a kind of a stop for them. So it's I don't know what it does. I'm trying, one of the things I'm trying to think about is kind of unity of sort of things. But I guess I'm not going to really worry about it, because I think part of me goes like, but if I put a caravan, like here's where caravans are, then inevitably I could see if I was playing this out, you get there and people are like, ooh, let's go on a caravan trip across the desert. It's like, well, it's kind of not where you really want to go, but I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to try to say like, no, I think we can have, it can be that, right? But maybe I won't start the party there. Unless you start it with them just making the journey. I mean, that could be one thing, that could be another option, basically, is that the party starts here. I did it again. I want it thicker. Can't you let me be thicker? Now that the party starts here, having just come in from the caravan. And then we can introduce these sorts of things. They come in, they've got a couple of bucks, and then, there's that, and then there's a road that's going to pass basically like this, which can then go here. That would at least be one way to, the pretty, what was I going to say, standard kind of way to get the adventure started. Oh, you got a couple of bucks. Maybe it's end of the season. So kind of, you say, oh, it's end of the season. So this is kind of off, this is off limits. Off limits. We're going into summer storms, summer sandstorms. So everything's kind of here. That's actually not a bad way to do it. You get a little bit of coin, or maybe you booked passage. Now you're here. Okay. Should we do? Oh, you know what? I got to roll 2 more up. So I want 1-1 to be a settlement again. So 1-1. I hate when I want to move over and I accidentally. All right, so let's just get all these down here, I guess. 1.1 is also, it's definitely a community because I want a settlement. All right, now let's see. This one, it's neutral. Oh, and it's greater. Neutral and greater. This is the one. Why did I get greater on this one? All right. Well, I might have to switch some of these around, but there we'll get that one. And then and then this one, I don't really have any. I don't have any. I have no conception of what it is right now. I kind of think it should be another covert or something, but we'll see. So it's what's it? 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2.5. 2.5. All right, what do we got here? I'm just gonna roll these. Wow, 6, 4, 4. Oh, I got it's another community. Interesting. I kind of didn't want it to be. Neutral. And lesser. All right, so this is probably another kind of nomadic. Another nomadic kind of place, I think. Yes, we are starting to get a picture of, just to kind of put these sort of roads back in here. That, we've got, maybe this is right. This is that caravan stop. Actually, let me. We've got that caravan stop here. We got a road that's leading out here. Maybe this is in turn coming up, going like this. And then it's possible that there's some road that leads up to here. And this is just going to think of kind of major roads. And because I think we're going to tend to, because these are all, when I place these settlements on the map, they're kind of the starting settlements. And they can spread. So I'm imagining that these are going to start to spread. It's kind of going to spread, probably filling a lot of this stuff up. And this is going to kind of spread down here, though this one's sort of trapped in a sense because of these, it's kind of bumping up against them. So there's probably some smaller, whatever. There's a little bit of some smaller ones here. So you kind of get small roads. Kind of like that. Maybe there's one over here. Something like that. Hey, Dice Tales. Dice Tales says seasonal caravan routes is a cool idea. That should bring up a lot of potential adventure hooks. Yeah. I mean, for sure. I like the idea of I like the idea, I guess, of a starting spot of you can arrive at the caravan. So something I like about it. I guess I'll just say, it's obviously all this stuff is kind of work in progress. The nice thing about the caravan, where did my cursor go? Did I just lose my cursor? Where the heck is my cursor? Oh, phew, my cursor vanished. I couldn't find it. What I like about the caravan part is, so we can kind of say that, like I was saying, you can come by caravan and we could say, because the idea here is as kind of, at least as an initial campaign area, that you're kind of sitting mostly in this spot. So I like the idea of saying like, okay, you've come by caravan, but now this is kind of off limits, or, sandstorm season. So this is kind of closed. The other thing it does is it means that you can have some kind of that these can be kind of new. You don't, whoops. You don't know what this stuff is yet. You don't know, that a lot of this stuff can be, you're kind of new to everything, which mimics, you don't have to have that, like, well, my character grew up here, so what do they know? Not that there's anything bad. I think oftentimes actually very good. But another thing you do is really just have that unity between, like, well, this is the first time you've made this trip, and it's the first time that you've been there. So you don't know about this place or this place or this, even though the locals would have some idea, you don't. And the reason why you don't know is because you're not from here. You've just come this way. So you can kind of mirror your character, your player and character information, as it were. We still don't have, so I have two more. Obviously, I have lots of fleshing out stuff to do. I need to do these two. I'm thinking now that I really like the idea of this being kind of a whole thing. So I think, and then this will be something, I think it'll just be its own thing potentially. But I kind of like the idea that these things are all sort of connected, and that there's going to be some, really, the more I think about it, I really think I'm going to have something where there's a path, that there's like a ritual path that kind of goes like this, and then circles back. And that you can, at least one thing to do is to try to follow that same ritual path, which I'm digging. I am digging that. But we'll have to keep fleshing that out as we go. But I think it's about an hour, and I got places to go and people to see. So thanks, folks, for hanging out with me. I should be around tomorrow to do something, but I'll probably be on the main channel tomorrow doing stuff. So look out over there for it. I don't know if I'll do some blog stuff or read something. We'll see. we'll see what I'm feeling like. But this is fun. This is good. Have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this, everybody. Game on, and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.